Do you want to shrink the Great Salt Lake? Hi, I'm Joe from the Great Salt Lake Waterkeeper, and this is Liquid Courage, a no bullshit series about water in Utah. The Utah Division of Water Resources intends to shrink the Great Salt Lake down to a smaller footprint by constructing dikes and berms because they don't want to send the lake the water it needs to raise its water levels. This extra water is available, but the division and Utah's water lobby don't want to give up water for the benefit of the lake. But drying up the lake exposes lakebed that generates toxic dust emissions that millions of residents downwind breathe. So their plan to fail is to spend tens of billions of dollars mitigating this dust. The Division of Water Resources has been spending your tax money crafting this plan to shrink the Great Salt Lake. But this state agency is keeping this plan secret and not sharing it with the public. Why? Because they know the public doesn't want them to shrink the Great Salt Lake. They are avoiding transparency with us, the people who paid for this report, because they know we would oppose their plans. They've been working on this report for over a year, but they've kept it secret until after the 2026 Utah legislative session has already begun, and the report is likely going to be used to advance legislation to dike the Great Salt Lake. For all we know, this legislation is already written, and they've just been sitting on it so you won't have time to stop it. One proposal we know is being discussed in government backrooms is a plan to dike Farmington Bay and keep the water from entering the rest of the Great Salt Lake. This will further drop water levels across the lake, sacrificing hundreds of miles of wetland habitat for 12 million migratory birds and creating more dust emissions. The division has enlisted people to start pitching this proposal to the public, but they have refused to provide a government forum where the public can oppose it. And although this proposal has been called a temporary solution, it's important to remember that dikes have been used at other terminal lakes around the world to shrink them down while they disappear. Labeling this as a solution is propaganda, which the division and the water lobby behind it are hoping will sell the public on this disastrous plan. Once dikes are constructed, the lake will disappear because Utah will have sunk billions into this infrastructure, which they will then want to leave in place. The best way to mitigate the Great Salt Lake's toxic dust is to restore it to 1,660 square miles of surface area by sending it more water. Shrinking the Great Salt Lake limits our ability to do this. You can help us by calling the governor's office and asking that the Division of Water Resources release this report to the public. You've already paid for this report. You should be allowed to see it before it shapes Great Salt Lake legislation. Visit greatsaltlakewaterkeeper.org to learn more. See you next time.